The first time I saw him in it, I forgot how to breathe. It was during evening prayers at the retreat center. Everyone else was dressed modestly. Shirts tucked in, trousers pressed, shawls draped neatly. But he walked in wearing only a flowing white robe. Simple, untied, loose enough that every step suggested more than it revealed. At first, I thought it was arrogance. Who walks into a chapel dressed like that? But then he sat down in the front pew, robe folding around him like a cloud, and I realized it wasn't arrogance at all. It was defiance, or maybe freedom. And when he turned just slightly and caught me staring, I understood something else. He knew. The candlelight painted him in amber. His skin glowed beneath the robe, and every shift of fabric felt like a secret he was daring me to imagine. I tried to focus on him, on the prayers rising to the rafters, but my eyes returned to him again and again, as though pulled by gravity. He wore a white robe, wholly pure, but the knowledge that there was nothing under it set fire to my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. The retreat center was silent, except for the chorus of crickets outside. I turned on my mattress, restless, until I finally slipped out of bed and wandered down the hallway. The chapel doors were ajar. A faint glow spilled through, flickering like breath. He was there, alone, kneeling at the altar. The robe had slipped from one shoulder, bearing a line of skin that caught the candlelight. My throat went dry. "You should be asleep," he said without turning. "So should you." He smiled at that, then stood slowly. The robe shifted with his movements, fluid, revealing just enough to make my pulse stumble. "Do you always walk around at night?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Only when I can't rest," he said. And tonight I couldn't. He faced me then, the robe falling open slightly at his chest. My eyes betrayed me, sliding down before I could stop them. He noticed. His smile deepened, soft but knowing. "Why the robe?" I blurted. "Because it hides," he said, stepping closer. "And because it reveals." The air thickened. The chapel was suddenly too small, the candlelight too bright. Every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the whisper of his robe against his skin, was amplified. He stopped just in front of me, close enough that I could smell the faint trace of incense on him. "Does it bother you?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "It distracts me." He tilted his head. "Good." We sat side by side in the pew, silence heavy with everything unsaid. My heart pounded like a drum. "You looked at me tonight," he said finally, voice low. I froze. "You noticed." I felt it. His eyes caught mine, steady, unflinching. "And I wore this for you." The words knocked the air out of me. My chest tightened. "Why?" "Because you've been hiding. Because you pray with your lips but ache with your body. And because," he leaned closer, his breath warm on my ear, "I wanted you to see me." I shivered, torn between fear and desire. "We shouldn't." "Maybe not." He touched my hand, light as a feather. "But tell me you don't want to." I couldn't. The truth hung between us, raw and undeniable. My hand turned in his, fingers lacing. "I've never." I began, but the words broke. He pressed a finger to my lips. "You don't need to explain. Just breathe." His other hand brushed my jaw, tilted my face toward him. And then he kissed me, slow, reverent, like a prayer whispered against my mouth. The robe slid as he leaned in, the edge brushing my arm. I arched toward him instinctively, my body answering before my mind could catch up. In that moment, I wasn't afraid. The kiss deepened. His hand moved to the back of my neck, steadying me, pulling me closer. The robe shifted with every breath, every touch, slipping like water over skin. I felt myself leaning, arching into him, the pew hard against my back, his warmth pressing into my chest. The world outside ceased to exist. Only candlelight breath, heartbeat, robe. He whispered against my lips, "Let go." And I did. My body bent into his, trembling with release, with the shock of finally allowing myself to want. Every movement was tender, careful, as though he was teaching me not just how to touch, but how to surrender. The robe became less of a garment and more of a veil, falling, shifting, concealing, revealing. I didn't need to see everything to know. I could feel it. I could feel him. It wasn't lust that filled me, though desire coursed strong. It was awe, the sacredness of giving in, the terror and ecstasy of arching fully into his embrace. The candles had burned low when we finally pulled apart. He drew the robe back over his shoulders, tying it loosely, though we both knew it had already told every secret. We sat in silence, my head resting on his shoulder, the faint smell of incense and candle wax thick in the air. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. I shook my head. "No, I've never felt this alive." He smiled, kissing the top of my hair. "Then it was worth it." When dawn came, the chapel windows glowed gold. He walked out ahead of me, robe swaying with each step, still untamed, still daring. I followed, heart thundering, certain of only one thing. He wore a white robe and nothing under, and he had taught me what it meant not just to look, but to be seen.